Welcome down to episode 176 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy on your other screen or in your other ear if you're listening to the podcast. It's welcome back, Mr. Glynn Lavender. Hello, Glynn.
What if they've got only mono or only one earphone in?
What if they've only got one ear?
There you go. What if they're Van Goghing this stuff? And they can only So you're being earist.
I am. My apologies. Am I being oralist? Sorry,
earist, oralist. Just an asshole. I'm not sure. Is swearing allowed in this podcast?
If you only have one ear, I apologise for the last 176 times I've said that. So
there you go. Speaking to the ear that they've actually got though when you say that, please.
Sorry, I've got to talk over here into your good ear.
Well, you have to do both because it could only have either or. So for those who don't know, I actually do my own podcast.
You do?
By do my own, another guy calls me, I talk for an hour, and then he does all the work. That's what I mean by I do. But our episodes start pretty much the same as this, completely irrelevant and usually just full of crap. So I'm taking over your podcast with my normal quality of content.
And coincidentally, it's another guy with the initials BW on that other podcast. Just completely coincidentally.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
How have you been, good sir? You've been busy putting together workshops and tours and all that kind of stuff, I see.
I have been busier than a one-armed man at a cow milking contest.
Right.
Yeah, pretty busy. Lots going on, actually. Lots going on in life and lots going on in lots of work stuff as well. So I've been quite busy, and I'm prepping for Bright Festival coming up in about 6 weeks or something like that, 5 or 6 weeks.
How quick is that rolling around? My God.
Well, the big problem is I've got to do a 1 hour talk, and at the moment, all I've got is the headline, the title.
And can you let us in on the title?
Well, I've got one of two working titles. One is "Come Listen to the World's #1 Ranked Photographer." Yeah, asterisk.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a special T-shirt made up saying "World's #1 Ranked Photographer," asterisk, and there's a little asterisk down the bottom that says "with the name Glynn Lavender," because there's only one person in the world with my name, so that kind of works pretty well. So it's accurate, if nothing else. And the other one is "Stop Feeding Your Camera."
Stop feeding your camera.
Yeah. Now you should ask me, what does that mean,
Glynn? What does "stop feeding your camera" mean?
I wish I could remember. At the time I put the title up on the screen, oh, yes, this is it. But then I got busy doing other stuff, and now I can't quite remember.
Okay.
So it's "Stop Feeding Your Camera." I don't know what it means.
Well,
no, I think it was stop. I think it was like a part 2. "Stop Feeding Your Camera, Low-Hanging Fruit."
Ah.
So
now it's starting to make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me as well. In the world of travel photography, that we tend to often devolve into low-hanging fruit. Looking for the easy images, the trite, the overshot, the reflection shot of Taj Mahal is a classic example.
Yes.
The low-hanging fruit. We kind of have to do them. Cliches for reasons, generally because they work. But I'm not sure where the emotional reward of just creating something that's been done a million times before lies. So I think that might be that could be the whole talk. We might finish. I might be doing the 2 minutes, 1 hour talk.
Okay. Well, we will. I look for. Hopefully, I've got a very packed schedule at BFOP this year, so hopefully I get to see that. So I'll be in the front row heckling.
I'd like to see it too. I'd like to, because I don't know it's gone out well. Because this stage got nothing. So in other things I've been doing, I said I've put up organising a whole bunch of workshops. I just ran on Saturday actually my first flash workshop in 5 years. So I have not run a flash workshop in 5 years, and it was. I don't know why. It's funny how life happens, and you don't do so. I used to do a flash workshop every month. For years, for 10 years, I did a flash workshop every single month. And then all of a sudden, somehow, 5 years goes by. And
so tell me, right, I want to drill down into this. So let's just do it straight off the top. Why do you want to run flash workshops, Glenn? What do you love about flash?
Given the choice, I would do every single photograph I ever took would be flash.
Really?
Every single photo I could ever possibly. And as you know, I'm pretty decent with natural light. I've got a certain range of skills in using natural light. I'm handy. It's a good phrase. But given the choice, every single photo I would rather use flash.
Okay, I'm gonna put up a photo on the screen. That's a shot there.
That's a flash shot. Yeah.
Yes, it's very flash, and it's pinched straight from your website. So I hope you took it. But
I did. There's nothing I ever showed that's not mine. So
excellent, very good. Cool, amazing photo. It looks fantastic. So
you portrait too. So
yeah, right.
We have there's a lot of people balk at the idea, especially when I say the workshops, bring all your lenses. And I say this in every single workshop I ever run. You never go anywhere without all your lenses because you never know what you're going to be photographing or what opportunities may arise. And some people show up with their portrait lens, their 85 or the 100 mil or whatever it may be, and then so this is done at 15 mil. So to miss the opportunity to be able to do something so dramatic. And so a lot of people say, Glynn, why do you want to use flash in every single photo?
Yes, that was going to be my next question. Well, it was my next question.
What's your next question, sorry?
But why do you want to use flash for every single photo?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. A lot of people ask me that. Come on, Mike.
We're just flowing.
Simpatico, my friend. I'm a control freak. I want what I want, where I want it, and when I want it. And as good as I am with natural light, I'm always at the mercy of something else. I'm at the mercy of what natural light has been given to me in any one day, at any one location, at any 1 hour. And when we run workshops down at your store, you're sitting there going, man, my ideal lighting for a natural light workshop is blazing sun. And what we often get is cloud. And cloud is the soft, muted lighting is the worst possible lighting to shoot photos that I like to take because I like reasonably dramatic photos. But I can always find shade on a sunny day. I can't find blazing light on a cloudy day. So natural light, you're always limited to what nature's giving you, but also time of year. So angle of light. This time of year, middle of winter, the light can be, the sun never gets particularly high in the sky. So you've always got a particular angle, which can be quite a nice angle to work with, but it's still the only one you've got. And even during the entire course of the day, that angle doesn't really improve much. It doesn't get a lot higher, from 10 o'clock till 4 o'clock. It's kind of the same height all the way through the day, where, of course, in summer, it's well above you in the middle of the day. So by being limited to where your light is coming from and going to, you are limited to the type of shots you can take. When you use flash, you could put the light at any angle you want, at any height you want, any color you want, any intensity you want, any softness you want. You can light everything or only a tiny bit. You've got all the options. And I don't know anyone who is a creative photographer who wants to be limited by in their creativity. And natural light will always limit because you're not the boss. Yeah, you're simply not the boss. So you always have to kowtow to the boss, and he'll tell you what you can and can't do on any given day. When you're using flash, you're the boss.
Yep.
And the boss is good to be boss. Yeah,
it is.
Because I think boss.
When this may surprise you, but I've actually signed up to your flash.
I saw that. You're actually putting down your own hard-earned, dude.
I am. I'm going to be with you on the 20th of September, I think, I've booked in for something like that.
Yeah, next month.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it because I own the flash. Look, I have one. See, there's proof. I have no idea what it does.
Good.
Nothing. It's got a screen here and it's got an on-off switch here.
You're my favorite type of customer. One who doesn't know anything.
Okay. Now, so when you run your flash workshop, how can I put this? What kind of customer do you prefer? Do you prefer someone who really
someone who knows nothing? Yeah. Mostly because if you know nothing, even if I only know a little bit, I still look good by comparison.
That's exactly right.
In the world of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, kind of thing. No, in reality, I don't care how much knowledge you have. I'll try and break you of it. because in the way the world is these days, the way we learn these days is that we have too many voices. It's too easy to pop on YouTube and watch 15 different people talk about Flash in 15 different ways. I went to at BFOP last year. I actually went to my first ever workshop I've ever been to, just to hang out with a instructor, and I won't say his name, because it was a cool location, and I thought I just want to see how someone else does something. So I've run over 1,000 workshops and never ever seen how someone else does it. So I thought, well, they're kind of handy, and it happened to be a Flash one as well. I thought, well, I take 6 hours to run people from no knowledge to hopefully grasping how it all works and then putting it into action. And this guy, and I can't take any more than 8 people. Any more than 8 just does my head in. It's too hard. This guy's got 20 people in 2 hours. How the hell do you teach Flash in that? And I came away from that workshop knowing less about Flash than when I went there. Partly, it's not because, and this person has fabulous skills. There's nothing to do with skills, and it's not necessarily about how they teach. But their method of how they shoot Flash was of a complexity that unless you were already at a certain level, you would struggle to be able to take it home and replicate. Where my system is every single person can do it with if you have a flash gun from 50 years ago, you can do it. Yeah, you don't need the latest, greatest, most expensive thing. Anything on the planet will work. And the difference between my system and the way a lot of other people teach is I will get your flash photo exposure correct first shot, every shot, and it doesn't vary. And the biggest problem a lot of people have with the flash is the inconsistency of how much light comes in. It's too bright, it's too dark, it looks too shiny, the shadows are horrible, all the stuff. We fix all those problems. So it'd be very interesting to see what you're going in this situation with not a lot of knowledge. It'd be interesting to see what you feel after you've been to the workshop, if you actually learned anything. So you're a good guinea pig, mate.
Oh, I'm sure I'll pick up heaps.
I can rely on your honesty.
And the astute of you will notice I've put Glynn's, the link to creativephotoworkshops.com.au. That's where you can go and check out these workshops, book yourself in. This image that I've just put on the screen as well, Glynn, stunning. Like
out in the street.
Right. So not studio at all. This is in the street.
This is in the laneway, yeah.
Wow.
So when at full daytime, this is what I was saying about having control. Having the ability to. So the previous shot you showed, it was really bold and dramatic and hard, and the lighting was hard, and because everything about it was bold and dramatic. Yeah, so that's. I mean, all the skin is specular. It's got. She's quite toned. It's almost like she's been oiled up, But we're shooting directly into blazing sun. We're shooting directly into the sun of F-22. And using all the drama of the wide angle and the lines of the sky and everything else. Bang. So flash can be as bold and dramatic as you like, a la that shot, or as soft and beautiful as you like, a la that shot. And there you flexibility. And you can do both of those within 5 minutes of each other. that's the great thing. It's not hard to do. Once you know how to do it, it's not hard to do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You're not, as you quite rightly put, you're not married to the conditions that you served up. You are the conditions. You've got control over the conditions. So it does fascinate me. I must admit, I did dabble years ago. This is back when I was at Camera House in Geelong, 15 years ago. I started mucking around a little bit with flash and managed to get to a point where I could take a shot like that on the screen. Completely forgotten how to do it now because I haven't done it for that long. And it blew my mind that, here I was standing in a shop which was very well lit, and we're able to achieve something like that just with literally one single flash gun. So very, very cool stuff.
Yeah. If you remember the workshops, the natural light workshops we do down at your store, when we use that translucent panel, the scrim, to hold over the top of the model to create high key shots. Well, this is the flash fired through that. So we're using we're using that scrim in this particular situation as a softbox.
Very cool.
So hence the softness and the bigger you can make the light, the softer the shadows fall. This is actually a 2 flash shot, so it's a little different. So there's a second scrim on the left-hand side, and then a low-powered flash just kicking in a bit of, just to light up that tattoo. Just a bit of a kick of light into there, you know. But it's the thing about flash. You can try it with one light, you can try it with two lights, you can try it with three lights. You know, it's no harder to add a second or a third light to the equation than it is to add one light. And once you've been doing it for a while, I can set up an off-camera flash shot in 30 seconds. Yeah, because I know the system, I know what to do. I do my methods of working out exposure. Walk over and plonk the flash down, and job done pretty much, and takes no time whatsoever.
Which is cool, because that's sort of like all the areas of photography that, you know, that people like to teach. And I always preach this to people. I had an entry-level workshop last night. This was literally with 4 people, barely knew how to turn the camera on. And even by the end of just 2 hours, I had oohs and ahs coming. Yeah, it's like, okay, that's what we like. And then it's that repetitiveness of it, of continue. So I speak to a lot of people who, you know, do workshops at BFOP. They go back and want to do the same one the next year because they've forgotten everything. And I always say to them, well, did you practice it? Like, did you know? Nope. Nope. That's the thing. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but it's the old. You got to.
This system I teach is if you do not practice. I mean, my bank manager loves you not practicing because you have to come back to the workshop again. Yeah, several times. You know,
exactly.
But if you don't practice, then it will fall away. But this is this flash stuff again is along the line of like the low hanging fruit we've just been talking about before with travel. There's a satisfaction to the soul when you can create something when you're traveling that's beyond the standard stuff everyone is shooting. And there's a satisfaction to using off-camera flash to create a shot because you've taken control and you've crafted an image completely. It's completely your process that's made this work. So there's a lot of reward. It's like if you're a painter, you know, what you paint, the end result is all your work that made that happen. You get all the reward and all the satisfaction if you like it. And the same with flash. If you've crafted and made the shot happen from something that was not there, then there's a lot of reward in that. So I think if you're a hobby photographer, we want those wins. We want those satisfactions of, oh yeah, I made something happen. I had a win. I crafted a great shot, because that gives you more impetus to keep on going and keep on trying. I think that whole photo mojo stuff people talk about when they lose their photo mojo is because they're not having new wins. They're not having little victories that's crafting something that meant something to them. I think it's important that meant something to them, not just I went out and did a workshop and shot a landscape next to some guy and he told me what settings to use and he adjusted my composition it's not the same as if you went out there by yourself and did it.
No, that's right.
But workshops are vitally important. What you do is vitally important because it's understanding those nuances of move the camera 2 centimeters that way. Look at the difference. Move it down 6 inches. Look at that's the stuff you need to learn. But to get the satisfaction, the workshop image will never mean as much to you as the image you've crafted yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And we find, so Cam and I just did our recent Tarkine to Cradle Mountain trip last week in Tassie, which is an awesome tour, if I do say so myself. Awesome locations. We got brilliant conditions. But what we normally find on those is we'll get people into those locations. We will walk them through how we would shoot it. And the first few shots are normally carbon copies of what we've just taken. And that's a good thing because it means they're getting it and they're understanding the techniques. My favorite shots are the ones that seem to come through a week or two later, and they're starting to come through now on social media, where Cam and I are being tagged by people who are in the Tarkine forests, and they've picked out, a particular tree root that's got particular moss on it, and they've got the composition right using our exposure techniques to nail it. And that's so bloody satisfying as an instructor. Hopefully you see that a little bit as well. But that's
you can go one of two ways. You get the tag on Facebook and you open it up and I learned to do this at Glynn Lavender's workshop, and look at the photo. No, you didn't. No, you did not. That is the opposite of what I taught you.
Yeah, that's right.
There is the one that, look at this great shot I've got of something that was important to me. And I've got this, and there's a lovely lady up in Queensland called Penny, who just takes the most beautiful. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but beautiful photos of her father. He's a rough and rugged, kind of like a cowboy kind of guy with a cowboy hat, and the rural Queensland kind of guy. And some of the most stunningly beautiful, emotive portraits, because I know how much that guy means to her. But she's using my skills to craft something that actually has value and has meaning to her, to her family, that will be treasured for 100 years. Yeah, and that's
that's brilliant. I mean, and that's that's not just a payoff. That's something that's significant. And and I think for me, as I grow older, Glynn, I think that's where I'm really glad and proud to be a photographer. As I'm already looking back on, photos of my kids when they were, infants, and geez, I'm glad I got a great photo like that, so that's where what it's all about. And that's what you preach when you come and do the natural light portrait workshop in my store as well. It's not just the knowledge that you're gaining then and there. You'll cherish that for the rest of your life, because you're creating fantastic images, and they're not just shitty phone snaps that end up disappearing. So
without 30,000 on your phone.
No, exactly.
But it's like, and I was at a club doing a talk recently, and a guy I've known for 15 odd years, who's been coming to workshops for 15 odd years with me, came up there. He's the guy who invited me up there. He said, same thing. I'm getting older. I've got 8 hard drives full of images that when I die, the family's just going to put in the bin, because what are they photos of? And as fabulous as the Tarkine to Cradle Mountain images are for the family, if they were to look through those, the ones with Aunt Betty in that location at that moment, the behind the scenes kind of fun shot that was taken will mean far more to them than a pretty shot of a mountain.
This is a very good point, because at my shop, we now, we've done it forever. We scan old slides for people. And just this past week, we had a girl bring in 250 slides. Her darling mother has just gone into palliative care, and she basically wanted to see the slides. So she sat down with her and they went through them. They went through 1,000 slides, but they picked out 250 that they wanted to have scanned. How many of those 250 do you think didn't have people in them?
4.
Close, 2.
Yeah. So I was twice as ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah, which validates your point that people don't want to see your photo of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. They want to see you.
Non-photographers.
Correct.
We photographers want to see. We don't care about you being in the damn photo. We want to see it. But as Wayne said, the guy with the 8 hard drives, he said, I love those images. These are something I've curated over many, many years that I love to pieces, but they're my stuff that only I really like. There's not they haven't that won't reach the pantheon of great art. As wonderful as they may be, they're not going to become world famous. Especially now, it's so hard to get any image to stand out of the crowd, because there's a million photos a minute uploaded to the internet. But if our photos are going to have any legacy, they have to have reason to sustain and to keep going. And that reason has to be momentous occasions. Hey, I took a photo of John F. Kennedy being shot. That photo is going to stand out. Momentous occasions will have a broader appeal, and the us photos that we take will be family. And I don't know if you ever looked at any of your family photos of people from 100 years ago. They're your family, but that's just a photo of some bloke that you don't know anything really about, and then maybe some anecdotal story about them, maybe, but maybe not either. It's just a photo of some guy. I never knew my father's parents. They were dead before when I was a kid. I know nothing about them. I see a photo of them, but they mean nothing to me as humans. So even these fabulous family photos have this finite life that I've never thought about this before. This is all the stream of consciousness stuff. They have this finite life that's going to last, a generation? So it behoves us to do the absolute best as possible photo we can of these people, this moment, because hopefully they'll give it that little tiny bit. Yeah, when people are culling through your photos once you're dead, the 1,000 down to 250. If you've got 1,000 photos of your family, they're looking for the 250 absolute best ones or the 50 absolute best ones, and your 950 are going in the toilet.
No, that's right.
So again, our job is to to capture those whimsical moments, but also, and I did this all the time with my parents. Every time I went to see them, I'd do their coffin shot. I'd line them up to a window portrait for when they died. That would be the last photo of them. Every time I saw them, it would go on their coffin. And
I love that story. I've heard you tell that story 100 times, but I love it. Like it's a cracker. And it's so. I love that you actually said to them, "Come on, time for your coffin shot."
Yeah, so I was inspired by an old people's home in New Zealand, who they wanted to do a calendar for their families, so they all put on long white gowns and angel wings and halos, and went into a cemetery and had photos taken around the cemetery of them pretending to be angel. And I thought, wow, we take death so seriously, where it can have some other elements to it, and therefore, and I said, and I tell this story a lot, that this is always brought home. 40 years ago, working in a camera store in Elizabeth Street 40 years ago, and a woman came in with an old 110 negative, and 110 negatives are about a centimetre in size, and an 8x10, and a 6x4 photo or a 3x2 photo. And she said, it was a barbecue scene of a backyard, and she goes, "Can you see under that chair under the tree in the back corner of the garden, there's a guy sitting down there?" "Yeah." She asked, "Can you enlarge him to 8x10? And no. And she goes, "Oh, that's the only photo we've got of Uncle Larry, and he just died. In his entire, this guy does not have that's the only photos in existence of this guy." Yes, we took a lot less photos in those days. And not everyone likes having the photos taken. We know that too. But the importance, again, that coffin shot, don't let the photo that memorializes the people who mean something to us be a shitty photo. And I see it all the time, even from photographers, when they're put on Facebook, their parent has passed or some significant person has passed, and the photo they put up is not good, and that's obviously they've culled and they've found the best they could, but it's still bad. So it's kind of like, I waffle on a lot, dude. Sorry. It's kind of like the gardener he works as a gardener for a living. Everyone else's gardens is great, but his own looks crappy. Because, and so we'll spend a lot of time trying to get great photos of other people that don't mean anything to us, and we don't take the same care with people who do mean something to us.
That's exactly right. And and in my line of work, I do see it a lot. I deal a lot with death and funerals and things like that.
Of course.
And almost 100% of the time, when people bring in that one photo that means so much of their mum or their dad or their uncle or auntie or whatever it is, and we do enlarge it, we clean it up, we put it into a frame for them, I have the tissues ready every time, because it just hits home, like when they see that photo that they know is going to be part of a memorial service. It really gets to people. So
I've never seen anyone cry over a landscape or an astro shot with a guy with the red jacket and the torch pointing up in the sky.
That's a very, very, very good point that you make. Right, before you rabbit on too much, let's and I love this because we're completely flipped on the head the format of the Down South Photo Show, which it needed, so that's fine.
Remember, I'm a last minute call up. I'm the desperate. You called 15 photographers and none of them could make it. Said, "Oh shit."
No, that's not true. I only called 3, and it was you. So that you're moving up in the ranks. That's not too bad. We do normally throw up a photo of the week. I'm going to put mine up. This was from the Tarkine trip last week.
I looked at some of your shots and that's awesome, dude.
It was. Look, I've got to say it's all down. It's all down to Mr. Blake.
I never say anything nice. I never say anything nice about a photo unless I mean it. Okay, and I would tear the living crap out of this if I thought it worthy of it. But I really like that.
Thank you. This is all down to Mr. Blake putting us in the right place at the right time. This is a place called Sumac Lookout deep in the Tarkine. We got to this spot well before sunrise. We could just see a bit of mist and fog in the valley. And you know how when you're working with a fellow photographer and they give you that look? Well, Cam gave me that look of, this is going to go off.
Oh, yeah.
And then out to the right was a ridge line where the sun just peeked over and just lit the hell out of all the fog in the valley, and then it was fish in a barrel. It was just take that. So this was with the Tamron 150-500.
I was going to say that looks about 300 mil focal length to my eye.
It's actually 500.
Wow, so it must be a fair way away. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, so right across the valley, probably was I want to say 500 to 600 meters away. I guess these trees were.
That's a cracking lens. That's a great lens.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are an ambassador for Tamron. I think I'm right in saying that.
You're right. Say that. Yes, that's why I said it's a good lens. Yeah.
Well, you did put me in touch with the good folk at Blonde Robot who loaned me that very 150 to 500 for that trip. They also gave me the 16 to 30 f2,
the new one,
the new one for the Z mount. Yeah, so which I adored as well. But geez, that 150 to 500, I couldn't get it off my camera when I was shooting this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no.
And
it's amazing how big lenses can really make landscape something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can create something very different from the standard landscape by that.
Yeah.
Compression factor.
Yeah, it was great. And then, as I say, as the light came and as the sun crept higher in the sky and the shadows got more angle to them, it just changed composition. You could close your eyes and open them 30 seconds later and just see a completely different scene. So as the fog rose and all that sort of stuff. So I only shot about 350,000 frames there, but it was good fun. And what was really cool was we had 7 photographers lined up, and Cam and I were behind them, and we're looking at 7 different cameras, tripod mounted. People started shooting handheld. It was amazing. And you wouldn't think that you'd get so many different shots just from all looking down one valley. Yeah. Everyone got different stuff. It was really cool. So
what do you like about this shot? Tell me what you like about this shot, and I'll tell you what else.
Yeah, I like there's a couple of gum trees in that shot closer to, in the mid-ground that are silhouetted. I really like that. And I also like the fact that you can actually see the golden light on the edges of the trees with the fog behind and in the foreground. So it's almost like the mid-ground's rising out of the fog, and I think that's what I like about it. I also like the fact that it's pretty damn sharp as well. So you've got the soft fog in the foreground, very sharp trees in the mid-ground, and then the soft fog in the background as well. What jumps out at me, though, is that silhouetted tree that's hidden. It's sort of being blocked by the light of the tree on the right, that sort of adds to it as well. Gives it a bit more, something else to look at, basically, an anchor to that image.
Okay, you want me to dissect it?
Please, I would love for Mr. Glynn Lavender to dissect one of my photos.
There is so much going on that I don't know if this is how I see the world. Whenever I look at photos, I disassemble photos in 0.2 of a second to fix everything this is how I work with my own stuff. When I shoot something, I look at the photo and my brain will disassemble it in fractions of a second to all its component parts and tell you what's working, what's not working, and hopefully lead me to better shots. So there's lots of stuff going on. First up, warm and cold contrast. So you've got the blue sky on the left, and then the close-up fog in the bottom right-hand corner. So you've got 2 contrasting color elements, which are, whenever you can have 2 different contrasting color elements in the shot, will give you a strong shot. That's 2 good things that works really well. You've then broken the scene down into thirds, horizontal thirds. So your dark sky on the right-hand side is roughly a third. The lit bit in the middle where the trees are is roughly a third, and the soft fog at the bottom is roughly a third. So you compartmentalize the scene into 3 layers, basically, And then what's really striking, and the reason why that silhouetted tree works, is the line of trees coming down past the blue lead your eye straight to that spot. Yep. Your the dark line of fog between the golden fog at the bottom and the darkest, there's a dark line that leads you straight to that tree. And then coming down from the bottom left-hand corner, there's a diagonal dark line that leads you straight to that tree as well. So that tree is, even though it's not on a classical third, your eye's being drawn to it by all these different elements. And it's the least lit part of the scene, other than that black cloud, but it's the least lit part. So it has a contrast between light and dark as well. So the instant I see that, if I was shooting this, I would then try and make it I can almost guarantee, because I don't do a lot of landscapes, it wouldn't be that symmetrically aligned, but I would see where the elements are happening, and then my brain would say, move this, do that, angle this, zoom in that, and try and make that stuff work. So that's the first things my eyes saw. And I didn't even really, because the way my brain works is I don't even really see the shot per se. Yeah, I'm not going, oh, look at the fog, look at the tree. I'm seeing elements and seeing line, color, that, all that stuff. It disassembles, and it's I don't know, it's a good thing or a bad thing to get unemotional when you're looking at photos. I always think when I'm shooting, and the thing I try and teach people when on tours is get excited for sure when you get there, but then disconnect for a minute to make these decisions work. And then when you start shooting, get excited again. Engage, disengage, re-engage, basically. Because if you're excited about what you're seeing in front of you in this moment, you might not think to do the little 1%ers that's going to make it a great photo. If you don't disengage for a minute, go, okay, I've got a lot of good elements. How do I make them work? So that was my thought process for myself. And I love that. I really like the image because it's not telling me to do anything. It's not telling me this is what you should think. This is what you should feel. This is what it's an ethereal image of just a moment. Be there, enjoy it. And it's not when you go see a great painting or a vast scene. There's so many areas you can look at that you can enjoy, and no one's directing the narrative, saying this is what you must think, and this is what this story is. If that makes sense.
Yep. And I know that there's a couple of people yelling at the screen wanting to know what settings I used. Now,
the right ones, mate.
I'm not sure why people want to know that, but that is my answer every time, is I use the correct
found when you use the wrong ones, the photo's not as good.
1/160th of a second, ISO 100, f6.3 at 500 mil. So there you go.
Yeah, there's nothing that really, when it comes to settings, it doesn't matter because the right shutter speed or above.
Yep.
If it's the wrong shutter speed, it'll be blur because your hand's moving. So it's going to be the right shutter speed. It doesn't matter if it's 160 or 320, as far as just pure, because once something's frozen, you can't doubly freeze it, or quadruply freeze it. So it doesn't matter if you use 640. So the shutter speed doesn't matter as long as it does the effect that you want. And in every scene, that will be different. So it kind of doesn't matter. There's not really any depth to this shot anyway. As far as you haven't got foreground depth in focus all the way. It's you can tell most stuff's out of focus, but when you're shooting at a 500 mil lens at 500 mil, you're not getting a lot of depth anyway. Right. And you could be shooting at
the lens
F8,
compression,
6.3, all those things.
The only thing I would say, and this is what I did in this point, was I shot it. I mean, I think f6.3 is its lowest aperture value at 500 anyway. There's no point if you're zoomed in at 500 mil. Why would you pay a light penalty? So open that thing up. That's normally the way I play with when I'm working big zoom landscape, particularly with low-ish light like this is. But you're quite right. I'll get that off the screen now. People are sick of seeing that. But you're quite right in what you say in terms of if someone asks me what settings I use, I do normally say, well, I use the correct ones for what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Because the chances of anybody being back at that lookout at that exact time with those exact conditions are nigh on impossible.
And those exact same gear. Yeah. Looking for exactly the same shot. And then why are you trying to emulate someone else's shot anyway?
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I understand there's a desire to figure out how things work, but if you can think about shutter speeds, as in, think about those. I like to visualize stuff that the shutter speed is think of it like a dimmer switch for movement. One way freezes, one way blurs. Doesn't matter what number you're using as long as it creates the effect. If you're not getting the effect you're looking for, there's one way or the other way to turn it. Yeah. The actual number doesn't matter. The effect is what matters. So if you're shooting sport and everything's blurry, there's one direction to go with that number. If you're trying to create movement in the shot, and the shot I'm going to show, my photo for the week has movement in it. So if you're not getting the movement in the shot that you want, then you do the other way. Bang. The same thing, if you can visualize aperture as a sliding depth scale, a dimmer switch of depth. One way gives you more depth, the other way gives you less depth, easy for me to say. So again, the precise number doesn't matter as long as you understand the directions. So if you're a beginner photographer, understanding the directions is really important. Understanding the number less so. So I just need to know which way to go. That's the problem we're all trying to solve when we're starting out is which way was it again? So when I teach my how to use your camera basic workshop, I have the idiot's guide to aperture because aperture is one of those numbers that are very confusing. So I have big number, big focus, small number, small focus. That's kind of all that matters. Succinct it down to a system that when you're under a little bit of pressure to get a shot, and that could be pressure that you're putting on yourself, it could be pressure as the fog's changing, the light, whatever it may be. As long as you know which way to go, you're going to get more successes than failures. The actual, so I think I should be shooting this at 6.3 with I think I should speak. I'm not sure if I'll do 250 or 160 for the. None of that matters. What matters is the effect, the end result. And when we look at our photos and we haven't got the result we want to know how to fix it. And directions are all that matter, left or right, up or down. If you can.
Let's throw up your photo of the week.
Yeah, whilst we're talking about, and very different from my type of stuff because I'm predominantly a people shooter. Whilst there's a person in this shot.
So tell me your exact bloody settings, would you? Hurry up.
I don't know. I never look at my numbers. I could genuinely tell you. I rarely have any clue what settings I'm using. In any photo I do. It just I only pay attention when it goes wrong. And it's the same thing again, cause and effect. I've done the shot, the effect wasn't what I wanted. I've got to fix the cause. Turn the dial this way, turn the dial that way, whichever dial needs to be turned until I start getting the effect that I want, And that could be, this is a kid going down the hill on a bike, but if it was someone walking, I'm not going to get the same effect at the same shutter speed because the pace of the subject's movement is different. And movements is one of those funny things as well that it's relative to distance. The closer something is to you, the more faster it appears to be moving, whereas something further away. So when people struggle with trying to get movement, you've got to understand distance is really, really important. And the easiest way I describe that is if you're driving down the road at 100 kilometers an hour and you look out at the road, that road's it's flying past. But the tree on the other side of the road's going past reasonably fast, but nowhere near as fast as the road. And the mountain on the horizon's going past real slowly, but you're still doing 100K. So the closer your subject is to you, the more important shutter speeds become, or the effects of them will change dramatically.
Can I critique a Glynn Lavender photo?
I'll go for it. Okay.
In front of Glynn Lavender, please.
Yeah, go for it.
The only thing I wanted to say really was, the shutter speed that you ended up using to portray this movement is vital to this shot. Any faster and freezing that kid, I'm assuming it's a boy going past on the bike, I don't think would speak anywhere near as many words as this photo does when it's slightly blurred. And to me, that straight away depicts speed. In fact, in a little small part of me, it actually depicts a bit of peril. Like, I don't know, is Aries brakes out?
Exactly.
So this you've gone from an image that's worth 1,000 words to an image that's worth 2,000 words. Do you know what I mean by that?
The story
there's more of a story with that blur than if it was sharp focus. And
if it was frozen, is he even moving? Is he even moving? Yeah, but there's actually lots of interesting things going on in this shot for me, which is why I like it. I've already processed this week. I haven't looked at it. I've been processing a bunch of images I've never looked at before this week. This is one of them. So the story of the stationary bike and the moving bike was a really important element. There were kids going past on bikes down here, so I had time. I could see what I was trying to say. But also, funny enough, on the wall just above the kid moving on the bike is a falling apart image of an elephant with someone riding on the back of it. So you've got this old-fashioned method of transportation, then there's still transportation, and then the peril, the fast-moving, the joy of childhood, maybe as well. Yeah, the thrill of adventure. So there's all this. So there's three different elements kind of happening. There's excuse me. There's layers to the story as well. And we both set brakes at pretty much the same time. So we start to envision our own youth. And when we used to bolt down hills on bikes, and will it stop? Won't it stop? What if a car comes around the corner? All the stuff. And we can feel life in the shot. Whereas if everything was frozen, there's no life. There's no life in that stationary bike. Yeah. What we look at is, look at how old's the bike. Yeah. We look at details about the bike. We lose the story of adventure and fun and childhood and peril and all that sort of stuff. So it's a simple shot. Yeah. And this is a little bit of the low hanging fruit sort of, but give it a little bit more depth because you said, okay, I want to have a kid moving on a bike, but what's the rest of my scene going to be? Anyone can do a tuk-tuk going past on the intersection and you get a frozen tuk-tuk and the background's blurry. Lovely shot, but there's a billion of those. There's only one of this correlation of story between old-fashioned transportation and something a bike that's out there living its best life and a bike that's older. You can tell this is a red bike and it's a more modern bike and it's a fun bike, and the one in the back there's a functional bike and it's an older bike and does it have fun days still with it? I don't know. There's all this depth of story I can drift into when I look at photos like this.
Well, does the roller door in the background, the blue roller door, to me that it's not necessarily an anchor point, but now I've spent more time looking at this image, it actually depicts level, right? That is level. Now, exactly. When I look at that, I go, hang on, that's quite a steep hill that this kid's
How would you know? If you didn't make that element level and the building to the rest of the building's level, how would you know how steep? If you've ever watched any sort of action videos shot with action cams on YouTube, and they're coming down a mountain or something, it can look really flat. It just doesn't look very interesting because we haven't got any angled perspective to work with. So getting those elements lined up as straight as possible is the only way you're going to see the angle of the road.
Now, the other question I've got, and it'll be the last one on this photo, the stationary bike, the red bit of rubbish under the back wheel, how much does that annoy you?
Oh, it doesn't, because it's a repetition of color of the bike.
Yep.
So we're reinforcing that color. And it drives me crazy with my OCD. And if I cared about the image or was going to do something with the image, I'd probably clone it out. Yeah. If I was staging this shot, I would have gone over there and moved it. This is I can actually tell you there is one shot taken in this location. This is it. Right. So I did one photo and we kept on moving. And that's often.
Where was this photo taken?
This is in Jodhpur in India. So it was known as the Blue City, hence all that blue wall on the right hand side and a little bit to the left as well.
Very cool. Well, that was excellent. I love seeing. Look, I love photography. I think, and again, that's one thing that while you hang around with you a bit, and also as I get older, I'm starting to actually love photography. And I don't know that it means you have to turn 50 for that to happen, and it probably doesn't. But the longer I'm in it, the more I'm in love with photography, and I love people showing me their photos and walking me through it like you just did. I reckon that's really cool.
And so I'm the opposite. I have no love of photography.
Yep.
I have zero love for photography. I love the doing.
Yep.
Getting out. The photography is a reason to be there and to do the shot and to live that experience and to spend those moments. And yes, to get a moment to remember. But as I said in previous times on this podcast, if I lost all my photos tomorrow, that wouldn't worry me. The only ones that worry me are the photos of the kids. But my joy, and I say this often again for people who don't have their photo mojo going, if the simple act of going out and doing isn't enough, the photos never will be. Yeah. Your Tarkai to Cradle Mountain experience, and that's exactly what it was, is enriched by the photographs, but the photographs didn't make the trip. Yeah, the photography is the reason to be out there to experience this grandeur of life and the living and the sharing with other people and shared moments is bound around photography, not around I love images.
And that is yeah, that is definitely one way to look at it, but it's kind of chicken and egg stuff because, would I go to some of these locations without a camera?
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but isn't that's the reason to be there? Why would you put yourself out there without having a purpose? And some people
don't get me wrong. I love
yeah.
all the places we go to, but I go there to photograph them.
Yeah.
And I go there because it's new material, new subjects, and nothing gives me the buzz quite like a scene unfolding in front of me, whether it's happening at sunrise and it's like the mist shot you saw before, where the light comes. There's something about when the light comes, the image comes, and when you've picked your composition and you hope that it gets lit correctly in 20 minutes time, and then it comes. There's something about that it's food for the soul for me.
Yeah. But is the end photo important, or is it all that 20 minutes of waiting for that?
Oh, look, no, you make a good point. I'm not upset or disappointed if I don't get what I consider to be a good shot out of that location. Yeah. However, I kind of do.
I completely agree. I mean, there'd be nothing worse than coming back from a tour with no good images. Yeah. But how many good images do you need from that Tarkine trip? How many good photos do you need? 2 or 3? Yeah. What are you going to do with 50? What are you going to do with 50 or 100 great images?
I'll plug our workshops with them, but
like crazy. Absolutely, I'll be putting movies of them up there.
No, you're right. Other than that, they're like trophies that no one gets to see, but you do, and your little trophy cabinet sitting on your hard drive is great. But get these things on the wall. I mean, you would have a bloody nightmare trying to decide anything.
I've got no photos on the wall.
Yeah, I know. No, you're a liar. You have.
I've got one.
Thank you.
You've got one. That's because I use it as a background. That's it. Yeah. I have one photo.
But and maybe it's just inherent in me because I run a printing place. But that but I say to everyone who comes in, and I see great photos on people's phones all the time. And again, they show me the photo of them with the kids, and then, oh, hang on, just go to that one before. Look at that awesome sunset you shot there. Wouldn't that look great on your wall? And they go, you can do that? Yeah, sure. And that sort of thing. So anyway, we digress.
No, but it's important digression though. Yeah, I don't know. I've never watched one of your episodes, but don't be offended. I've never listened to one of my episodes, and we've got 600 of them in the can. So I don't know how you guys normally talk or what kind of in depth. I always,
nowhere near this level of depth.
I always get into this. This is my bag. Is to I don't know why, but this is my bag. Is to understand a lot of the why, and we should analyze ourselves. I mean, why I don't have any photos on the wall. Yeah, I don't lie. I do have photos of but of the kids. They're the only photos that are printed out. It's just I don't know. I think I think a lot of what ails people who struggle with photography is they feel the only way they can be photographers is to produce an end result. And I don't think the end result is as important as the association of doing it with other people, which is where workshops and tours are great things. I had a wonderful comment from a lady called Lynn years ago, and she just sent me an email after a workshop. She'd been to quite a few. And she said, I love coming to your workshops because they normalize my passion. No one in my life understands my love for photography, but every single person at that workshop does. And you know what it's like on these treks when you're trekking with people for multiple days. No one's going to be stopping and taking a great shot. Yeah, if you're hiking with people, they all would, because we need to be at X spot by X time. Because so it's I think it's wonderful. If you are struggling with the joy, get out and shoot. Find someone to go out and shoot with. Is a really good. Go on a tour with Brendan and Cam. So
go on a tour with Glynn.
Or Glynn and Cam.
Or Glynn and Cam. True.
Because Glynn and Cam are running an India tour. Which
leads me to the plug. So tell me about so if people head over to creativephotoworkshops.com.au, can they see all your tours and things you've got coming up?
There is links there, and email me for a brochure. basically.
Cool. And
so,
it'll also be linked in the description right down here. So all you have to just click on something.
Glynn at creativephotoworkshops.com.if. Just circumvent the need to go to a website. Just email me, say, can I get a brochure? So I've got I've got 3 tours coming up, but one's full and one's half full, and one we haven't launched yet. And the one we haven't launched yet is me and young Cam Blake of fellow DSPS Down South Photo Show fame. We are running it. Yeah, blame that. Yeah,
it took you 5 years. That's good.
Yeah, I started the AAA, the Australians Against Acronyms.
Stop it. Stop it. Just tell me about your bloody tours, all right?
Yeah, so Cam and I are doing a tour in March 2027. So it's a good year and a half away to India. And it's going to be very heavily focused on the cultural side of India, more so than visiting buildings like the Taj Mahal, or there'll be a little bit of building visiting, but majority of it is to get out amongst the people and in the villages and in the factories and the temples and photograph people for 14 fabulous days, starting in Delhi and ending in Kolkata. So that's going to be a remarkable trip. Just talking with my ground crew just this afternoon, waiting for the final bits of information to come through so I can release the brochure. So that'll be releasing very soon. And a mere $1,000 deposit will secure your place. Yeah. And then the next one, so I've got 2 tours to Bangladesh next year. Bangladesh is the country you didn't know you had to visit. It is a remarkable place for a photographer to go to. It's one of the last frontiers, I call it, because you'll go to places that have never seen a white person before. They've never met a Westerner. And that's a pretty amazing thing, because you'll be as fascinating to them as they are to you. And that's always a great symbiotic relationship to have when people are enthused. So I've got 4 places left for my November next year Bangladesh tour. And we are going to shoot over 3 nights, actually, on this tour. Something I'm bloody excited about, to be honest. I think there's a special festival called the Candlelight Festival, where in the temples, hundreds and hundreds of devotees meet at night with candles and sit and pray, and these huge areas all lit with candles and candle smoke and glow, and holy men and amazing stuff to photograph, on top of a whole range of other just remarkable things to shoot. But yeah, that's one I am particularly excited about. It kind of hurry up. Yeah, but that's not till November next year, and I've got a tour in February and March into Bangladesh again, which will be fabulous as well. So if anyone was to come to Bangladesh or India, Glynn at creativephotoworkshops.com.au.
Brilliantly done. Absolutely brilliantly done. Thank you. There's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about tonight, not least of which is the fact that, and purely coincidentally, you and I have got Nikon cameras in our hands of late. I want to know, that is the camera, the Nikon ZF. Have I got that right?
That's what I've been using. Yeah.
ZF. What are your early thoughts of it? I mean, and we are not sponsored by Nikon in any way, shape, or form. I think you've borrowed that from Nikon.
Nikon. I'm looking at changing over from traditional DSLR Canons into something mirrorless. Not necessarily because I want to, or feel there's a need to, or feel that they're going to change anything in my photography. Because the majority of what they do, they won't change how I shoot or what I shoot. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm a Tamron global ambassador. I do stuff for Tamron India, Tamron America, Tamron India, Tamron Australia, and New Zealand. They no longer make lenses for old SLR cameras, DSLR cameras. They only make lenses now for mirrorless cameras. So for me to be still out shooting with their current products, I need to have a product that you can put the bloody things onto. So I was fascinated by the Nikon ZF in its retro style. When I started out in this business in the early 80s, my first camera was an Olympus, but then my second camera was a Nikon, and it was all manual, all mechanical, very much looking like this style of camera. And one of the things that's happened as you become very proficient in your photography and using the gear is you start to forget about it. Yeah, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. And as I said, if you ask me what shutter speeds I'm using, I couldn't tell you. If you ask me most of the time I couldn't tell you any of those things because I don't pay attention to them. And I'm trying to pay attention again. So I was figuring if I got a camera where it's a little bit more mechanical changing of shutter speeds, what I hated about this thing is the lens didn't have an aperture ring on it. So I didn't have that tactile feel of consciously thinking about changing aperture. And I think that's important to that process of slowing down and being more deliberate about what settings you use. So I've enjoyed that meant the aperture and the shutter speed and the ISO changing with brass dials and click, 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 click. That feels really good. But I found I'm still not paying any attention to what I'm turning. And the biggest issue is these damn electronic viewfinders. Okay. And the fact that they show you what your exposure is going to look like. Now, I'm sure if I spend time...
Why is that a bad thing?
Well, because I can turn the dial until I get the effect that I want, and if I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, I'm just turning a dial.
Yep.
Whereas if I can't see the effect, I have to be thinking a little bit more. Okay, what am I actually using? Okay. Yeah. So now I've had this camera for like 2 weeks. No time, my wife lost her job last week, so there's a bit of stress in the family. My eldest kid just started school again after a year and a half. It was last week, 2 weeks and a half. So I've been busy doing a lot of stuff. Yeah. So I haven't had as much time with the camera as I would like. So there may be a way of turning that feature off so the viewfinder doesn't display what the end result is. And I'm sure that will therefore, hopefully give you that slowed down process I was looking for. And the other thing, there's a couple of things that drove me a little bit crazy. I don't know why, but whenever I brought and again, it's all lack of knowledge of how to use the camera, but so often when I brought the camera to my face, a white balance scale adjuster would come up in the screen, right, which would block like a quarter of the screen, saying, well, you obviously want to change where your white balance is. And I don't know, A, what I was doing to make it come up, or B, how to get it off. So that kind of drove me a little crazy.
And funny you should say that, because I'm having the exact same experience with the Z5 Mark II. Yeah. That little white balance indicator. Yeah. It seems to appear out of nowhere and at random times. And I can get rid of it pretty quick. I think I just moved my hand or something, so I've got to work that out as well.
Yeah. So but I'm glad I'm not the only person suffering that.
No, you are certainly not.
The other thing I didn't enjoy was, and I thought I would enjoy, this is a curious thing about when you think about when you're buying, I love that feature, and then you start to use that feature, you go, no, I hate that feature, and I hate it's the screen. So the screen is a fold-out flip screen, so it sits on the side of the body and gives you a lot of flexibility. You can shoot up high, you can shoot down low, all great, but you're no longer on axis with your lens. Yeah. So when you go to move the camera to change nuance of composition, because you're not looking, because you're looking off axis, it kind of screws a little bit with. Now I'm sure there's a time behind the wheel thing that would solve that, but what I would have loved that screen to be is one that just sort of folds up. It's almost like a waist level viewfinder looking down on the camera. So it's on the same plane as the lens. I think that would have been more satisfying an experience to shoot.
Yeah, you're quite right. The only way you can shoot above your head or below your waistline is with the screen flipped out.
Yeah,
you can't.
And this far off the axis of your lens.
That's correct.
So it does. And I said, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, playing with the camera. Yes, there's no way you're going to be able to intuitively start to fix those problems. It's only, as I always say, an hour in your hand for 2 weeks, every day for 2 weeks, and you'll get past most of that stuff.
No question.
But if you're putting, it's like anything. If you're trying to get better at this stuff, you've got to practice. And picking up your camera once every 3 months is not a way to get better. Yeah.
So to that end, just what do you tell people, particularly, let's say you're beginners or entry level, get to know your camera, I think you call it, your workshop. Yeah. What do you say to people? Do you say you should be using your camera roughly every couple of days, or is it once a week? Where do you land on that?
Well, when it comes to learning what the buttons do, which is the biggest problem I find a lot of people have, is you should be sitting in front of your TV every night For 10 or 15 minutes, this button does this dial does this button does this dial does this button does this dial does it, and just turning dials over and over and over and over, and just simple repetition. Yeah, if we can go from learning how to drive a manual car with a clutch and accelerating gears and multiple times in 15 seconds whilst not crashing the car in front of us, very, very complex series of maneuvers that gets to a point where you don't even think about it, simply through repetition. That's what we need to do with our cameras. We just need to, if you could do 15 minutes a night for 2 weeks, you'll never forget which button changes your ISO, which button changes your exposure compensation, because it's just getting it embedded.
And to me, this is where I find user modes counterproductive, because user modes are designed. So let's say, for example, you've got U1, U2, and U3. That's what Nikon say on the top of my dial on the Z5 Mark II. I can set U1 to be, for example, my landscape setting. I could have U2 as my portrait setting. I have U3 as a birding setting, for example, which is great for speed. So if you're out shooting landscape and all of a sudden a sea eagle whizzes by and you want to get a shot of that, go straight to U3, bird tracking's turned on, all that sort of stuff. But you're not going to learn, like, how do I change those settings?
I had to go back and do it again. How did I do that?
That's right. You can do it once and set those user settings, but, okay, what if you want to have a few nuances in your shot? Like, you want to tweak. You don't want to just be set to those modes. You're back on YouTube, while the sea eagle's pissing off into the distance. So it's, that's where I find it's interesting. It's almost like they're great to a certain point, and then you almost learn too much, and then you have to go back to the basics, which is kind of what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, I have a customized. I have one setting I use for 90% of all my travel photography, and that is the walking the streets, unpredictable things happening setting, versus the we're taking time with crafting a shot. That's all manual. But I use one shutter speed, I use one aperture, and I use auto ISO, and that's a custom setting I have. And I use a shutter speed I know is going to freeze almost everything. I'm going to use an aperture that guarantees even if I don't nail focus, everything's going to be in focus. And I worry about auto ISO to worry about dealing with getting the exposure right. And as with anything auto, sometimes it's going to stuff up. But that's just but when you're photographing stuff where you have 0.2 of a second to make a decision to do a shot, it does, which happens all the time. You walk around the corner and all of a sudden something dramatically happens, you bang, doesn't matter if you miss some of them because you wouldn't have got it anyway. If you're going to try and settle down and get it all right, you were going to miss the shot anyway. So if you have a 75% success rate, it's better than the 0% success rate. And that's why those user things, like with the birding, 75-80% of the time, it's going to do exactly what you want. But do you have the knowledge to step out of that for when you want to tweak to that, when you want something that gives you a little bit more? And again, there's a little satisfaction again when you make those decisions and it comes off and you craft a shot. They're back in that force again.
Definitely pay off there. Now, last but by no means least, you mentioned earlier the Bright Festival of Photography, which you and I are both instructors at again in 2025. It is sold out, but we do have quite a lot of people who watch the show that are going to head up to BFOP in 2025. And there'll be people that went last year, but there's also going to be quite a few newbies as well. I just wanted to briefly, if you could, just explain to the viewers and listeners what you'll be doing at BFOP, other than your talk, which
I've got four
I'm
workshops.
definitely going to sit in the crowd and heckle, but I want to know about your workshops.
I hope you can, or not just heckle, but maybe suggest some content. It wouldn't go astray.
How about if I just sit back in the crowd and say, "Geez, mate, I don't know if I'd do it like that."
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt. We could do this. You stand on stage next to me. What do you reckon, Brendan?
Yeah, that's right.
So I have 4 workshops, 4 2-hour workshops up there. I have morning ones, which is shit photos in great locations. Great photos in shit locations. Always get those two mixed up, which is learning how to shoot portraits absolutely anywhere. And there's a range of skills that I try and squeeze into that 2-hour, where you'll come away with hopefully 4 or 5 new ways of seeing the world. So, hopefully quite a bit of value to people. And then I'm doing something that the previous years I've been doing evening ones with LED lighting, but they're a bit of a pain, to be honest with you. So I've come up with a whole new concept this year. I'm doing great portraits in shit locations, but in the afternoon.
Wow.
So not just in the morning, we're doing it.
That's
in the afternoon
earth-shattering
as well.
stuff, man. Revolutionary shit as usual.
And of course, that time of year, light will be very different in the afternoon than it is in the morning. So the challenges we face, the locations we can use, everything will be completely different as well. So the overall overarching concepts will remain the same, because I only have half a dozen ways of doing things, but they're all really good. Yeah, they all will change how you see the world and how you shoot. And that's not arrogance. It's just, this shit works. This is years of honing mistakes to a point where you can succinct things down to the easiest possible, easy to manage, easy to understand, and easy to recreate. And that's, I think, really important.
Well, take it from me, and I attended your Sunday workshop last year at BFOP and helped hold scrims and things, which was awesome. You will get more, honestly, you'll get more in that 2 hours than than any other thing at BFOP, in my opinion. I think Glynn is an absolute legend at what he does. I've used the phrase idiot savant before and got in trouble. But anyway,
just straight idiots enough. Yeah. And as my
when it comes to photography,
as it says, Glynn, less stupid than he seems, as my tag is.
And I know Glynn's workshop is always popular and sells out straight away. So do yourselves a favor, get into that. In particular, if you are, as a lot of our listeners are and viewers are, into your landscape stuff, get outside your comfort zone. Go and shoot some portraits with this guy, because guaranteed you will learn new stuff that will actually help you with your landscape stuff as well. So do yourselves a favor there. For those of you who want to know, I'm doing the big bus trip again in 2025. I do this with Charlie
You didn't
Brown,
learn from last year?
Oh my God. It's the best couple of days. It's so much fun. It's an incredibly long day, but it's so much fun. We pack a lot in. The bus leaves at 11 o'clock near BFOP HQ, and we don't get back till 9 o'clock at night. But in between, we shoot awesome locations like Mount Beauty. We should go to the Pondage at Mount Beauty. Then we head up to Bogong Village, to Lake Guy, which is an amazing place. A lot of big reflective skies and forests and that sort of stuff. Then we just pop over a little bridge and we go to the Fainter Creek, which is a magic place for if you want to do long exposure waterfalls and flowing water and all that kind of stuff. And of course, because it's in sort of mid-October, you got all the snow melt coming off and there's plenty of water there. And then the Piece de Resistance, we finish with sunset at Mount Hotham, which is if you're looking for probably the best sunset location in Victoria, it's hard to beat. We go right to the top of Hotham and we shoot back, looking back towards Bright and Mount Buffalo in the distance, with all the valleys and the layers of light and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, generally speaking, have a great time. The big difference this year is bus trip 1 will happen on the Thursday, which is actually BFOP day -1. So BFOP runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we're doing the bus trip on the Thursday, and then we're repeating that bus trip on the Friday. And the reason for that was because we had some people that were doing the bus trip, and it does take all day, and they loved it, they had a great time. However,
they miss out on some other stuff.
Correct. And the biggest big ticket item at BFOP is normally the Saturday night at BFOP HQ. That's like the big party atmosphere that goes on there. It's a really, really great event, not to be missed. So we've shifted to the Thursday and Friday for the big bad bus trip. So if you're looking to get up to BFOP Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe have a look at adding the Thursday as well. Jump on the bus. There's going to be 40 seats available on that. So that's all going to go live pretty soon at the BFOP website, which is also linked below, where you'll be able to start booking your workshops. That hasn't gone live yet. All the workshops are listed there now, but the actual booking for those, you'll be notified of that within the next couple of weeks. Then you can start booking them. So that's going to be awesome for people who are at BFOP. If you don't know what a BFOP is, head over to bfopaustralia.com.au. Check it out. It's an awesome weekend. So, yeah, we'll see you up there. Glynn, thank you so much for your time tonight.
My pleasure, matey. Anytime, always. When you put out a thing on Facebook the other day saying, what would you like to see more of on the DSPS? I said, me. And you've lived up to the promise. So, you've answered my question.
Your wish was my command.
I'm going to get you to hear me waffle.
I'm going to get you to stay on the line after we say goodbye so I can say goodbye in private. So thank you so much. That has been episode, 176 of the Down South Photo Show. We will see you next week. possibly with the 5'2" Tasmanian with the flared pants, maybe with Glynn again, if that's what you want. So
if you want to kick Cam out, if you don't want Cam to come back, let's start a petition. Yeah.
Well,
that'd go down well, wouldn't it? Hey.
I didn't say anything. It's nothing to do with me. That was all him.
I've known Cam since he was a baby. I've known Cam.
You literally have.
I've known Cam when he was in the womb.
Yes,
because his dad was my Olympus rep. And in fact, my mum, who was in the photo industry as well, she got me into it in the early 80s. She was Cam's dad was her Olympus rep in the late 70s. So he's been around. So I can't kick him out. He's almost family.
No, that's right. Shout out to Noel. I'm sure he's watching.
The lovely Noel. Yeah.
That's it. That's the podcast. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Glynn. See you next time.
Guys. Thanks for listening, everyone, and watching.
Cheers.
Even with just one ear.